So I've been on a carnivore diet for a bit over a year and I just had some blood tests done. I'm going to go through the results in this video, so stick around. Hi, I'm Sue and I'm on a mission to share my carnivore journey and what I'm learning along the way. My hope is that I can help others who are finding that their carnivore journey isn't quite as straightforward as they might have hoped, because that has been my journey as well. With many months of chronic diarrhea, confusing histamine issues, and frustratingly slow weight loss, I'm finally seeing some light at the end of the tunnel, and I feel your pain if this is you too. Now, let's get back to the video. So I've been eating a carnivore diet for about 15 months so far, and if you've not been following my journey, it's been pretty bumpy. Go back and check out some of my earlier videos like this one. I'll pop that link down underneath the video. So my health was pretty bad when I started my carnivore journey and I was very overweight. I'm actually still overweight at this stage, but I'm down a couple of sizes, and although my weight loss has been slow compared to many people, I'm definitely heading in the right direction. I've been wanting to get some blood tests done for quite a while, but to be honest, I couldn't be bothered during the whole COVID thing with all the masking and that sort of stuff. Definitely not my jam, so I've left it, and then I've actually been putting it off again and again over recent months because money's just been a bit tight, to be honest. I don't have a doctor, I don't really want one, so I was just going to do some self-ordered testing, but of course I've got to pay for the tests. So I had compiled a list of tests that I wanted to have done, but I felt like I was never going to get there. So this week I decided that I'd just get a couple of tests done, just the main ones that I wanted to have checked, and so that was a lipid panel and an HbA1c. I figured that way I could get a quick snapshot of how my cholesterol and triglycerides and my blood glucose were going. So hubby also had the same test done, as he's eating a MesoCarnivore diet. So do you know what that means? I just learned that term researching my last video and blog post, which is titled "What is a Hypercarnivore Diet?" And I learned that a MesoCarnivore eats over 50% of his diet as meat and the rest is made up of plants. So hubby basically fits that description. He eats some homemade sourdough bread for lunch, and sometimes he'll have meat or cheese with that. He had been having honey every day with that as well, up until about 4 weeks ago. So I'm guessing that it'll still be within the time for this A1C, because as I understand it, it covers the last 3 months. So will his result be lower next time? Don't know, we'll have to just wait and see now that he's stopped the honey. So he also has some fruit after dinner, so mango and banana usually, but dinner consists of meat and cheese. He loves his cheese, and sometimes egg as well. So I have diabetes in my family, but his mum and dad were both diabetic, and that's why we originally bought a glucose meter and started checking our blood glucose a couple of, probably about 2 or 3 years ago. His dad was always slim, but he was diagnosed when he was 80 with diabetes, and his blood sugar was never under control. He died in his early 90s. So because we began checking our blood glucose regularly, that's why I was concerned about my glucose levels, because they were gradually getting higher over the couple of years before starting on carnivore. And hubby's, well, in fact, when we first started monitoring, his blood glucose was actually higher than mine, but I did manage to catch up over those couple of years. So anyway, let's have a look at these test results. I'll pop them on the screen. So these are my results. You'll see I've scribbled on them trying to work out the conversions from millimoles per litre to milligrams per decilitre. All right, so you'll see that this is my test results, and on there I just have my lipids and my HbA1c. So the LDL cholesterol and the total cholesterol are a bit higher than probably a GP would want to see, but that's okay. I'm not worried about those, and I will be showing a chart a little bit later on that kind of is one reason for not worrying about that too much. Okay, the main things that I'm worried about here in this lipid panel were the triglycerides and the HDL cholesterol, because if they're in the right place, then the LDL cholesterol isn't a concern. So the triglycerides, as you'll see there, are 0.7 millimoles per litre. So in the States they use milligrams per decilitre. So I've scribbled those figures beside these. So I've converted them and scribbled them, made some mistakes as you can see where I've crossed them out, but I've put them beside there. So if you're in America, it makes it easier for you to understand what I'm talking about. So the triglycerides, according to New Zealand numbers, I did a little bit of looking at that this morning. It should be for triglycerides, they should be less than 1.7. So mine is 0.7, so I'm really happy with that. In the US it's 1.6 and in the UK it's 2.3, so I'm really happy. My triglycerides are quite a lot lower than the minimum that they want them to be, so that's cool. Now the HDL cholesterol is at 1.57 millimoles per litre, or 60 milligrams per decilitre. The HDL in New Zealand, they want it to be over 1, and in the UK 1.2, and in the USA 1.03. So I'm quite a bit higher than those figures as well. So that makes my risk of any kind of heart attack quite a lot lower, even though my LDL is up a little bit higher than what your GP might actually want them to be. Now you'll also see that my HbA1c is at 35 millimoles per litre, or 5.4%. So that's a bit higher than I wanted it to be. So the HbA1c, as I understand it, is basically an average glucose reading of your blood over the last 3 months, because the glucose goes into the red blood cells, and the red blood cells live for about 3 months. So so it kind of gives you a picture of where your blood glucose has been in the past 3 months or so. So I would rather have that lower, but I would imagine when I started last year that it was probably quite a lot higher, because my blood glucose was sitting around, whenever I tested it with the meter, it was sitting around 7.5 a lot of the time, sometimes higher. That was my fasting glucose. And so I'm kind of picking that my HbA1c probably would have been up around the 7 if I tested it this time last year. So I'm quite pleased with that. We'll see what happens with it over the next few months, or over the next 12 months. As I said, I'm going to try and have some tests done every 3 months and keep an eye on that, and hopefully I can get it down into the low 4s, and then I'll be a whole lot happier with that. And these results are Hubby's. You'll see his A1C is a bit lower than mine, and his LDL and total HDL cholesterol ratio are also a bit lower. His body composition is way better than mine. His body fat is reasonably low, and so his body will be functioning better than mine. He's not metabolically broken. His gut health is also really good, not like mine. So you'll see his triglycerides are also nice and low at 0.8, so slightly higher than mine, which I thought was interesting. And his HDL cholesterol is sitting at 1.62. His LDL was a bit lower than mine at 4.3, and his total HDL cholesterol ratio was 3.9, so they were both a bit lower than mine. You'll also see that his HbA1c is a little bit lower at 32, or 5.1%, so he could still improve a bit as well. As I said, he still eats his bread at lunchtime, and he has some fruit and stuff at dinner time, so he'll continue eating that, I guess, because he's not making any noises about quitting his bread consumption. So we will see if that changes over the next few months for him. Now I grabbed this chart from a video I watched with Judy Cho talking about cholesterol. It's taken from a research paper apparently, and it shows relative risk for dying from a heart attack based on LDL levels and associated HDL levels. Okay, so here we have a chart that has come out of a research paper about coronary artery disease and different cholesterol levels. So you can see on the left hand side that we've got the increasing risk of coronary artery disease, a relative risk, and then across the bottom we have the LDL levels between 100 and 220, and then where the lines are on the chart that go up, you can see that that's relative to different HDL levels. So if your LDL is low, so say sitting around 100, but your HDL is also low at 25, you've got quite a high risk of coronary artery disease. If your LDL is at 220 and your HDL is nice and high, then you have quite a low risk of coronary artery disease. It's a bit of a tongue twister, that one. So where I've put the red arrow is around about where Ray and I both sit, so hubby and I. So our risk is pretty low according to our cholesterol levels and the study. So I just thought I'd pop that in here because it's one of the things that people always rabbit on about when you tell them that you're eating a high meat or an all meat diet, is cholesterol levels, and they're quite convinced you're going to die of a heart attack. Whereas the research actually does not show that. It shows that as long as your HDL is high enough and your triglycerides are low enough, then high LDL or high total cholesterol isn't the dangerous thing that we've all been led to believe. So all in all, I'm pretty happy with where I'm at. I don't have anything to compare these results with at this stage because I've not had any blood work done for 10 years, as I said. But I know in myself that if I'd had tests done a year ago when I started on carnivore, they would have been way worse, just due to the way my body felt and what I had going on. Hubby also is the same. He feels lots better, and he's gained muscle back after our venture into a vegan diet in 2021. He dropped 15 kilos in 3 months when we did that after watching Game Changers. He was so skinny and he wasn't feeling well in himself. He was constantly cold and got so wrinkly because he lost so much muscle so quickly. I might actually see if I can talk him into joining me on a video sometime soon, and he can talk about what's changed for him. I think that would be a good idea. At this stage, I'm planning on getting tests done every 3 months, and just to see what's changing. I'm hoping I might be able to get some additional tests done next time. I really want to check my vitamin D status, as that had been consistently low over the years, even though I was living in Queensland, Australia, and I was on the beach literally every day. I'd also like to get some thyroid tests done just to see where that's at. It was all good last time I had it checked 10 years ago, but I don't have any real symptoms, but I just would like to just check it and see what's happening with that. So I have quite a list of tests I'd like to get done, but it's just having the spare money to get them all done. That's the thing right now, because things are a little bit tight. So that's one of the reasons I'd actually like more subscribers on my YouTube channel. If I can get up over the 1,000 subscribers here, that would be awesome, because it means that I can monetize my channel, hopefully. And so if you've not subscribed yet, please do that. Hit the subscribe button and also like this video, as that will help lots to get the video to other people. Well, that's it for now. If you have any questions or comments, please fire away below. I thank you very much for watching, and I will talk to you again another day.